Hi, so in this video I'll be showing you how to create a football management system inside Java. Just to show you how it will all work, so I'm just going to run the program. So you are displayed with a menu and you have an options to create a new team and add it to the league, display an existing team, display statistics for a team, display the Premier League table, so it's based on the English Premier League table. However, depending on where you're from or where you live again, you can change this. You can also add a played match and display a calendar. So for example, I want to do it based on the English Premier League. So I'm going to add some football teams. So I'm going to add Chelsea. And their location is Stamford Bridge. So that's been added. I'm going to add another team. I'm going to add, for example, Arsenal. And their location is in Holloway. I'm going to add one more team. I'm going to add Liverpool. And they play in Anfield. So we've got our teams. And also we can display the tables. If I click on 4 to display the table, you can see here we've got Chelsea, Arsenal and Liverpool, and so far they've all got 0 points and their goal differences are all 0. So what if you want to add a played match? So if I click on 5, and for example the day they'll play, I'm going to have it as, let's do 02 for the month, 02 for the day. I will have it in 2015, for example. So let's do the home team will have it as Liverpool, for example, and the away team will have it as Chelsea. So home team will have Liverpool, for example, have 3, and Chelsea, let's make it have 1, for example. So now if we display the Premier League table, click on 4, you can see here now Liverpool have 3 points, and you can also see the goal differences, and Chelsea here have a -2 goal difference. So this displays this in order. So if two football teams have the same number of points, it will order based on their goal difference. What we can also do is display statistics for a team. So for example, if I press on 3, for example, and I want to see, let's see Chelsea statistics. We can see their match is 1, which is 0. They've lost 1 match. They've received 3 goals, and they've scored 1, and they've played so far 1 match. And again, what else can you do? Also, you can display a calendar. So for example, let's add another match, for example. I'm gonna add a played match, press 5. Just gonna press 5. I'm gonna have this one on 01 2015. I'm gonna have this time it's gonna be Arsenal versus Chelsea. Arsenal, I'll make them have 2, and Chelsea, they can have 1, for example. Again, if you display the Premier League table, you can see here again it updates. So as you can see here, both Arsenal and Liverpool have 3 points each. So it goes back to the goal difference, and because Liverpool have the highest goal difference, they're at the top. So display the calendars. If I do 6, for example, and I want to display a match that was in 2015, and it was in the month 01, we are displayed here with the calendar. So as you can see, I want a match that is displayed on the 1st. So I'm going to do 01. You can see here that Liverpool and Chelsea have played, and also we have Arsenal and Chelsea. So now I'm going to do is you can also delete a team from a Premier League. So if I do 2, say I want to delete Arsenal, you can see now it says Club Arsenal has been removed. So now if we display the Premier League table, which is 4, you can see here we only have Liverpool and we only have Chelsea. So it shows that Arsenal has been removed. So to do this, I'm just going to stop this now. We've used Java programming language. We've used a mixture of abstract classes. We've used some interfaces. We've used a comparator. So if you want to see how this has been done and how we've developed this, then please watch on. And also I've put the source code inside the description, so you can see inside my GitHub for the source code you can download and play about with it. So again, if you want to see how this is done, please watch on. Okay, first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to create a new project. So I'm just going to go File, New Project, create a Java application, click Next, and I'm going to name mine Football Manager, just like that. So now I'm going to click Finish. Okay, so as you can see, now I have a project called Football Manager, and it's created a class for me. Okay, so now the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to leave this as it is. I'm going to create a new file. I'm going to go now, File, I'm going to go New File. So within the project Football Manager, I'm going to create a Java class, and I'm going to name it Sports Club. I'm going to click Finish. So now within here, we have a sports club. Now we're going to create two classes, one called Sports Club, which is going to be an abstract class, and we're going to have a football club. So these classes are going to include methods, and they're going to hold information about the name of the club, for example, locations and statistics. Okay, so starting off with Sports Club, what we're going to do first is we're going to make this into an abstract class, because right now it's a normal class. So what I'm going to do here, I'm just going to do public abstract class Sports Club, just like that. So I'm just going to go down here, I'm going to create 3 strings. I'm going to make them private. So I'm going to do private string name. I'm going to do private string location. I'm going to do private string statistics. Okay, and this abstract class Sports Club is going to be extended in Football Club, which will be our other class that we're going to create soon. Okay, so now what I'm going to do now, I'm going to do some getters and setters. I'm going to do public string get name as 1. So we're going to get it, we're going to return name. I'm going to close this function. We're also going to do get location. And again, we're going to do return location. Okay, just like that. Okay, now we're going to do it also for the statistics. So we're going to do public string get statistics. And we're also going to do return statistics. Just like that. Okay, now we've got the getters, now we're going to do the setters. We're also going to set the location name and the statistics. So we're just going to go here. Now I'm going to do public void set location. I'm just going to create a string. I want to have it as string s, just like that. I'm going to do this dot location equals s. So afterwards, whatever the user inputs as their location or name as statistics, we're going to set it just like this. So it's going to go through here. Also, I'm going to do public void set name. Again, same thing. So this dot statistics equals s. And lastly, public void set statistics I'm going to do this dot statistics equals s. Okay, just like that. Now I'm going to do now is just going to go to the top here. I'm going to create an override just underneath here. I'm just going to create an override. I'm going to create a public boolean. I'm going to name it equals. I'm going to have an object. I'm going to name it O, just like that. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to do return. I'm going to return the name, and then I'm going to do equals. It's going to equal the sports club. So it will be the object, the name of the object, which is O, oops, and it will be the name of it. Okay, just like that. So let me just check if I've done it right. So I did return this dot name dot equals. So okay, just like that. So I forgot a bracket because I'm just going to save this. So now what we've done here, we're going to get the name after from the user's input, get the name, get the location, get the statistics, and then we're going to set the name, set the location, statistics, and we're also going to get the name and we're going to have it as the sports club name. So I'm just going to save this. Okay, so now what we're gonna do now is we're gonna extend this in another class called football club. So I'm gonna do now. So I'm gonna do file, new file. Again, we're gonna create another Java class, and this time I'm gonna name it football club. I'm gonna click finish. Okay, so now we have our football club. So what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna extend this. I'm gonna extend the other class. It's gonna extend sports club, just like that. So now, similar as over here, we have strings. Over here, we're going to have some integers. So first of all, again, we'll have it all private. So when we define private integer, we're going to have wing count. You can name these whatever you want to name them. Oops. I'm also going to have draw count. So we're going to count their wins, we're going to count their draws, we're going to count their defeats. We're going to have defeat count. We're also going to take into consideration their scored goals. Again, you can have these as you want. I'm just creating some statistics. So scored goals count. We're going to also have some received goals count. We're going to have points. We're also going to have the number of matches they've played. So matches played. Oops. Okay. So now, similar as we did in the sports car where we had getters and setters, just like that, we're going to do something very similar here as well. So similar, so I'm going to do public int get wing count. I'm going to do return wing count. And again, so similar here, I'm going to do public int. I'm going to get the draw count. And we're going to return the draw count. So I'm just going to do these for all of them. We're going to have public int get defeat count, and we're going to do return defeat count. We're going to do public int get scored goals count, so the number of goals they've scored. And we're going to return this, so scored goals count. Oops. And do public int get received goals count. Get received goals count, so return received goals count. So basically just getting these. Okay, so after that it's the points. So I'm going to do public int get points. We're going to do return points. And now we're going to get the matches played. I'm going to return that. Okay, so now that we've got them, now again we're going to set them. So now as you can see here, we set them by a string. Now we're going to set them by an integer. Again, very similar to how we've done it here. So what I'm going to do is now again we're going to have it as a void. So we're going to do public void. So let's do the win first. So public void set win count. I'm going to have an integer. I'm going to have it this time as an I. And I'm going to do win count equals I. So now I'm going to do public void set the draw. I'm going to do oops. Okay. I'm going to do set draw count int I. And we're going to do draw count equals I. Just going to make it a bit easier for myself. So I'm going to do some copy and pasting, so I have to write it all myself. Okay, so instead of now set win count, we're going to do set defeat count. And then we're going to do here as well. So defeat count equals I. Also, we're going to do set scored goals count. So please double check. So we did draw count, we did defeat count. That's yep. So we're going to do set scored goals count and scored goals count equals I. Just going to copy this again. And I'm going to do set received goals count. Again, I'm going to change this part as well. So received goals count equals I. And now I'm going to do it with the point. Okay, so get received goal count equals I. Again, I'm just going to do two more. So I'm going to set the points. And lastly, it's the matches played. Just going to do set matches played. I'm going to have matches played equals I. Okay, just like that. So now we've got some get here. We're going to get the data, or we're going to set the data as well. Okay, so we have our class sports club and our class football club. So sports club was an abstract class, and we've extended it in football club. Okay, so now I'm going to do now is I'm going to create a new class. It's going to go file, new file. Okay, I'm just going to create a Java class. I'm going to name this one match. I'm going to click finish. So what we'll do here is we're going to get the two teams, so team A and team B. We're going to get each of their scores, and also we're going to get the date. So this will allow us then to, when it comes to points, and this, so we can get two teams, see their points and also the date that they've played. So I'm going to do is, first of all, I'm just going to, underneath here, I'm just going to import the Java utility for the date. Just like that. Okay, so I'm going to do now, I'm going to do private football club, again football club, which is coming again from this class. I'm going to name this one team A. So this is the class football club. So I'm going to have team A. I'm going to have team B. I'm also going to have private, I'm going to also have the team A score. I'm also going to have the team B score. And I'm also going to have a date. So it's not going to be an integer or string. I'm going to have it as a date. I'm just going to name it date. Okay, just like that. So I'll put these together. Okay, so what I'm going to do now here, I'm just going to go here. Okay, I'm going to do public, again, football club, which is the class that we've created. So we'll have the win count, the draws, and the points and matches played, etc. I'm going to do get team A. So I'm going to get the first team. I'm going to do return team A. And same thing with team B. So I'm going to get the other team, which is going to be team B. Okay, once we've gone on to actually getting the user's input, this will make much more sense. And we're going to do return team B. We're also going to do, this time, just going to have it as an integer. So we're going to again get team A score. I'm going to return that. So again, it works very similar. I'm just going to copy this. I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to have it for team B. So I'm going to do just like that. Okay, now I'm going to do it for the date. So I'm going to do public date, get date. I'm going to return the date. Okay, again, similar. We've gotten them, now we're going to set them. So we're going to set the user's data. So again, we're going to have it as a public void. We're going to do set team A. So we're going to set it inside football club as team A. We're going to do this dot team A equals team A. I'm just going to copy this for B. I'm just going to copy this. I'm going to have it as B. Okay, just like that. Okay, now I'm going to do the same thing for the score. So again, I'm just going to copy these two, just don't have to write them myself. Okay, so now here we're going to do set team A score. And now over here, to remove this, I'm going to do int team A score. So obviously team A and team B will have different scores when I also set them as well. And then we're going to do this dot team A score equals team A score. And again, I think I'm just going to copy this and paste this here instead. So now we're going to have team B score. I change them like that. Okay, now we've done the scores and now we're going to do the date. So now I'm going to do public void, we're going to set the date. So it's the date, and we're going to do this dot date equals date, just like that. Okay, just going to make sure everything's okay. I'm going to save it, just like that. Okay, so when it comes to displaying the Premier League table, we want to display all the teams and also we want to display them in descending order. So basically we want to display it according to the points they have. So what we're going to do, we want to create a new file. Again, I'm going to also have it as a Java class. I'm just going to name it, let's do, okay, custom comparator. The utility we're going to use for this is called comparator. Just going to finish. Okay, just like that. Okay, so basically we want to display the teams in descending order according to the points they have. So the team with the maximum points will be displayed first and second, etc. Also, not only do we want to display the teams in descending order based on their points, also if two teams have the same number of points, we're going to, in this case, we're going to have to descend it based on the goal difference. So the team with the best goal difference will appear first. So to do this, what we're going to do is we're going to use something called a comparator. So I'm just going to go up here. I'm going to do import java.util comparator, just like that. And then we're going to do public class custom comparator. We're going to implement comparator and then also based on the class football club over here. As you can see, because it extends the sports club, it's basically these two are linked. So we're going to do football club, just like that. So public class custom comparator. Okay, so now we're going to do now. So I'm going to use this class, I'm going to compare the teams by the points. And then we're going to say if, however, the two teams have the same points, we're then going to have it descend, so compare it by the goal difference. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create an override, just like that. I'm going to do public int compare. I'm just going to close a bracket here. Actually, no. So I'm going to do public int compare. So football club, so the first team, I'm going to have it as T, and the second football club, I'm going to have it as T1, just like that. Just going to open the bracket. Okay, so what I'm going to do now, I'm going to have an if statement. I'm going to say I'm going to get the points of the first team. Okay, just gonna have it, okay, like that. Oops. Okay, so if the first team's points, if it's more than the second team points, just gonna close this bracket. What I'm gonna do, I'm going to return -1. I'm then gonna do else, so I'm gonna have an else. I'm gonna do if the first team's points, if it is less, so here is if it's more, however if the first team has less than the second team, we're going to do return 1, just like that. And now we're going to do else, basically else if both the points are the same, we're going to now compare the goal difference. So I'm going to do, I'm going to create an integer, I'm just going to name this one goal diff. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get the first team's scored goals count. So again, remember what we did here in the football club, we got the scored goals count. So I'm going to get the scored goals count. And we're also going to minus it by the received goals count. This way, we're going to get the goal difference. Okay, so I'm just going to double check if I spelled that right. Okay. Okay. So we're going to minus the scored goals count. So received goal count, we're going to minus it from the scored goals count, as the value will go inside an integer called goal diff. This is for team A. And now for team B, I'm going to name this one goal difference 1. So again, similar I'm going to do here. I'm going to do T1. I'm going to get the scored goals count and I'm going to minus it by the received goals count, just like that. So now I'm going to do, I'm going to compare them. So I'm going to have an if statement. And I'm going to do if the first team's goal difference, if it is more than the second team's, we're going to do return -1. Else, if the first team's is less than the second team's, we're going to return 1. This is how it will ascend and descend. So return 1. And then we're going to have another else. We're going to do else return 0. So nothing will happen. Just like that. Okay. So again, we've implemented a comparator, and this will allow us to compare. I've also got these data from our class football club with Extend Sports Club. So now afterwards we can then compare it with the data that user inputted, and we can then display it in the Premier League table. Okay, now so we need to now create a class which will get the user's input data. So the first thing I'm going to do, we need 2 classes. We're going to have a Premier League Manager class and we're going to have a League Manager class. So the League Manager will be an interface and we're going to create a class Premier League Manager which will extend the interface League Manager. So I'm going to do, I'm going to go File, New File. I'm just going to create a class. So I'm going to have it as a Java interface. I'm going to name it League Manager. Just going to click finish. Okay, so we have our class public interface League Manager, and we're just gonna have this. So we're gonna implement the class Premier League Manager, and it'll extend from League Manager. So I'm gonna do now. I'm just gonna go File, New File, and now we're gonna create a class, the Premier League Manager class, and it's gonna maintain a number of football clubs, and we're also gonna create a menu to get the user's input. So what we're gonna do now is I'm just gonna create a Java class. I'm gonna click next. I'm gonna name it Premier League Manager, just like that. Oops. So I'm gonna click finish. So the public class Premier League Manager is gonna implement the interface League Manager, just like that. Okay, I'm gonna save it. Okay, so like I said, this Premier League Manager, we're gonna create a menu, and based on the user's text input, they can create a new football club, for example. They can add to the Premier League, delete a football club, display the statistics, etc. So what we're going to do with first of all is I'm just going to go up here. I'm just going to import something just so after we don't have to keep going back and importing them when we get errors. So the first I'm going to import is I'm going to import Java's pass exception. I'm also going to import just a simple date format when it comes to displaying the date and the calendar. Also Java's utility for an array list. I'm going to import the calendar utility. Oops, sorry. Okay. Also going to import their collections. The date. And lastly, their scanner, so we can print statements. Okay, just like that. Okay, so they're yellow now because we haven't used them, but once we've used them, these yellow errors will go away. Okay, so now I'm going to start with first. I'm going to create an integer. I want to have it as a private final integer. I'm going to name it number of clubs. This will take the number of teams we have, so of the football clubs. So number of clubs, just like that. We're going to have a private final int number of clubs. Okay, what I'm also going to have is a private, I'm going to have an array list. Okay, I'm going to have it of the football club again, coming from the class football club. And we're going to have, so here we're going to take the list of the football teams. Just going to close this as well. I'm also going to have the scanner to read the keyboard input. Okay, ignore these errors, don't worry about them. And I'm also going to get the matches. I'm going to do array list, I'm going to name it match. This will have the matches. Okay. So what I'm going to do here, so I'm going to create public Premier Manager, and here we're going to get the number of clubs. We're going to create an integer number of clubs. Okay, so the errors have gone now, so don't worry about that. So we're going to do this dot number of clubs equals number of clubs. We're going to get the number. We're going to do league. We're going to have this as an array list. So league is the list of the football teams. Okay, so we do that league equals, there you go, the array list matches. So that's my mistake, got to put this in. And also going to have a scanner. So we're just going to have a scanner to print and read the keyboard input. So new scanner, system in. And I'm just going to call the function display menu. Just like that. Okay, so when this class is called, the first it's going to do here, it's going to not only we're creating arrays, but also it's going to call the function display menu. So now we're going to create the function to display the menu. I'm going to do private void display menu. Again, it's up to you how you want to design the menu. I'm going to design it quite simplistic. So I'm going to do while true, okay, so I'm going to do system.out.print. Okay, I'm just going to name the menu. So I'm going to have it as Premier League menu. Just like that. Okay, just going to move these brackets just like that. Okay, so now I'm also going to have another system output line. I'm going to have this one. I'm going to type in create new team and add it to league. So if this wants to create a new team and add it to the league, they would need to press 1. Just going to copy and paste this. Okay, if they want to delete an existing team, from league, they will need to press 2. The next one is if you want to display statistics for a team. We're going to press 3. If they want to display the Premier League table, they're going to press 4. They want to add a played match. is 5. And lastly, if they want to display the calendar, display calendar and find match. So find the matches on the day. We're going to have it as 6. So now I'm going to do here, I'm just going to create a string. I'm just going to name it line. I'm going to do scanner dot next line, so it will read from the console. Okay. So now I'm going to do is I'm going to create another integer. I'm going to name it command. I'm just going to have it as 0. Okay, you see why I'm doing this. We're going to have try. So I'm going to pass the user's input. So now by default it's going to be 0. I'm going to do command integer dot pass in, and we're going to pass the line. So whatever the user input is in the console. Just going to catch any errors. I'm going to name it E. Okay, just like that. Okay, now inside here, I'm going to have a switch statement. Inside I'm going to have command, which is 0. Just like that. So what I'm going to do now is case 1. So if the user presses number 1, it's going to call the function add team. We're going to have that function later to add the team. And then we're going to have it for the rest of them. We're going to have a break now. And instead of writing for all of them, we're going to keep adding onto it. I'm just going to have the default. I'm just going to do system. Dot print. I'm just going to do one command. So if the user doesn't, for example, for now, type in number 1, it will say one command. Just going to close this. Just going to close the brackets. Okay. So remove this. Remove this extra bracket here. Oops. Okay. So now we have an error here because we haven't actually created a function. So I'm just going to do now, I'm just going to remove this function. I'm just going to create a system output just to see how the menu looks. Just going to write down hello for now. Okay, I'm just going to save this. Okay, so I'm just going to run this. Just so you can see how it looks, the menu that we've created. Okay, I'm just going to click on this. Okay. One more thing that we need to do is going back to the Premier League, the Football Manager. So you know how Java created a class for us called Football Manager. So now inside that class, what we need to do is just inside this function, we need to call the Premier League Manager class. This is highly important. So I'm just going to call it. So we named it Premier League Manager. It's going to create, it's going to name it PLM. I'm going to do new Premier League Manager. I'm going to have it as 5 for now. You can always change this. I'm just going to save this. Okay, so now we can go back to our Premier League Manager, because at first it wasn't calling nothing, because this is the main class, so we have to call it through here. I just added, for now it's going to have 5. So now if we run it now, we can see here our menu appears. So if I do 1, for example, it says hello, and the menu again repeats. Because as you can see here inside the Premier League Manager, I said that if the user clicks 1, it'll print out hello. Okay, just going to stop this and continue with our code. Okay, so of course we don't want it to say hello, we want it to call the function. So we're going to name the function here add team, just like that. So now over here, I'm going to create the function for add team. So I'm going to do private void okay. First of all, as you can see in the Premier League Manager, we only had it as 5. So what I'm going to do now, I want to create an if statement. I'm going to say if league dot size is number of clubs. So if the league is already full, we're just going to system out print. I'm talking about can't add more clubs to the league. More clubs to league. Just going to do a return. Okay. Else, if we're okay and there is space, what we're going to do first, it's going to do football club again, which is coming from the class that we created. I'm just going to name it club. So I've got an object. I'm going to do new football club. Okay. And I'm going to do a system.out.print. I'm going to type in insert club name. So inside here, the user will insert the club name. And now whatever the user inputted, it will go inside a string called line. So I'm just going to do scanner dot next line. Just like that. So now what we're going to do, remember how we had getters and setters? So what we're going to do is just after here, I'm going to do club. We're going to set the name as line. So we're taking whatever the user inputted for the club name, and we're going to set it as line. Just as if I just show you, it was in sports club, we had the name and we had set name. So now it's set the user's name. Okay, so going back here, and now I'm going to create an if statement. And this is to check whether the club that the user entered is already in the league. So we don't want to add, we can't have, for example, 2 Chelseas or 2 Liverpool. It only has to be 1. So we're going to do an if statement. Again, this is optional. I'm just showing you how. So we're going to do if league, if it contains already the club name, so if it's already in the league, we're going to do system.out dot print. I'm just going to type in this club is already in the league. Okay, so it contains. Okay, so this club is already in the league. I'm just going to return it. However, if it's all good and the club is not in the league, the user can then go on to entering their location of the team. So now we're going to do insert club location. So now same thing as before, we're going to get the user's input and we're going to put it inside the string line. And now we're going to set the location. The reason we're using the same is so that it matches. So we're going to do club dot set location and we're going to have it as line. And now we're going to add it. We're going to insert the club now. So add it to the league. Just like that. So now I'll show you just what happens when we add. However, we won't be able to see it added unless we've actually gone on to viewing it. So just show you. Just gonna run it. So we'll click one, insert club name. Just going to insert Chelsea. The club location, Chelsea play at Stamford Bridge. So we've added now Chelsea to the team. Just going to stop this. Okay, so now the next thing we're going to do is delete a team. So now I'm going to do now is just after here, I'm going to create case 2. So if the user clicks on 2, it will call the function delete team. Just like that. So now we're going to go down and we're going to create the function delete team. So again, it's going to be similar. We're going to do private void delete team. Okay, so I'm going to do a system.outPrint. And we're going to do insert club name. So the user will insert the club of the name they want to delete. Okay, so again, similar, I'm going to have string line. It's going to get whatever user inputted. So scanner dot next line. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is now we're going to look inside the football club league and we're going to see whether it's in there or not. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do for so for football club the object, I'm going to do league. Again, don't forget, so league, we created an array list which has all the football clubs and we put it inside league. Okay, so for football club league, I'm just going to do an opening. I'm going to have an if statement. So I'm going to do if the club, so if the user's name that the user inputted okay, so if the user inputted Chelsea, for example, if it equals so if the user's data matches the club and it's inside the league table, we're going to remove it from the league. So I'm going to do league dot remove club. I'm going to get a club name, and if it equals to what the user inputted, so first of all we'll loop around it, and if it matches, okay, so we're going to do league dot remove, need one bracket, so we're going to remove the club. Then we're just going to do a system dot out dot print. I'm just going to say club. I'm going to do some concatenation. I'm just going to do club dot get name, and write down removed. Just to show the user it's been removed. I'm going to do return, and just down here. Else, if the user's entered club is not inside the league, I'm just going to create a print statement. I want to have no such club in league. I'm just going to save that. So what we've done here, we've looped around the leagues, and we're trying to see if there's a match with the user's input. If there is a match, we're going to remove it, and if there's not a match, it's going to display this message. Okay, so now we've done delete. Again, let's just see it running. So now if I do 2, insert club name, let's do, for example, Arsenal, also no such club in league. For example, let's do Chelsea, for example, again, no such club in league. So if I add one, for example, let's add Chelsea again. I will have it in Stamford Bridge. So now if I do 2, and if I do Chelsea, okay, we're getting an error. Okay, so as you can see, we have an error, and when I click on this line, so it says here that the error is here. So we have if club.getName. There seems to be an error here, so I'm just going to go back to the sports club abstract class. Whoops. Okay, and I can already see that over here I have this dot statistics equals s on the set name method. So we have it twice here, so it should be this dot name. So over here we have private string name, location, and statistics. So it should be location here, set name, we should set the name here, and we set statistics here. So the error was that accidentally I had statistics twice and didn't have the name to set the name. So now I'm just going to go back to the Premier League manager. I'm just going to save everything. I'm just going to run it again. Okay, so I'm just going to enter, for example, let's do Chelsea. Oops. I'm going to do Stamford Bridge, for example. And now if I want to delete Chelsea, so insert club name, we're going to delete Chelsea. Yep, it says here club Chelsea removed. So over here, so if it equals, so if it finds the match inside the league, it will print out the club with the name, and it will say, so now it says club Chelsea removed. So now that works. So I just want to stop this. I'm just going to go up. So over here we have our add team case that is working. We have our delete team case, which is working as well. The third we're going to have is to display the statistics. Just underneath the break here, I'm going to have case 3, and this time I'm going to name the method display statistics, just like that. I want to do this. I'm going to have a break underneath there. Okay. So now what we need to do is we're going to create a method for display statistics. So I'm just going to go back down here. So underneath the add team and underneath the delete team, so just after this one, we're going to now have the method to display the statistics. So to do this, I'm going to have it as a private void, similar as the delete team and the add team. I'm going to name it display statistics, just like that. So inside here, what I'm going to do, I'm going to first of all have a system.out.print, and what this will do is we will ask the user to insert the name of the club they want to display the statistics for. So I'm going to do insert club name, just like that. And then I'm going to get whatever the user inputted, I'm going to put it inside a string called line. So I'm going to do scanner dot next line, just like that. Now I'm going to do similar as we've done here. I'm going to loop around, so the leaves. So for football club league, again don't forget league is here, so it has all the leagues. So what we're going to do now is going to loop around them, just as we did here. Okay, and similar, I'm going to have an if statement, so similar as here. So I'm just going to copy this. So as you can see already, for the delete team where we loop around to find the match, over here again we're looping around to find the match of what the user inputted. So now I'm going to have an if statement, so it's going to say if club.getName equals line. So if it does equal, so if the user for example inputs Chelsea and Chelsea is inside the league, what we're going to do is we're going to system.out.print. What we're going to do is we're going to do club. We're going to get the name of the club that the user entered. So we can club.getName. We're going to do plus. And then what I'm going to do, I'm going to write matches1 as a string. So here I'm doing some concatenation. So matches1. And over here, I'm going to display the win count. So we're going to do get win count. As you can see here, we've got the win count, and this comes from, if we go to the sports club abstract class, if we go to the football club abstract class, we can see here we have the various statistics such as the win count, the draw count, defeat count, and goals count, etc. So now what we're doing here, if we just go back here quickly, we're now getting, so we're looping around to find so if the user enters Chelsea for example, it will find if Chelsea is inside the league that we've entered, and if it's going to loop around it, and if it is equal, so if it's inside the league, we're going to get Chelsea's win count, and we're also going to get the other statistics. So I'm just going to copy this, just going to paste it underneath. So now matches1, it will be matches lost, and now I'm going to get the defeat count. So I'm going to remove the win, I'm going to have the defeat count. As like I said, all these are coming from here. So that we have the defeat count. So if we've got the win count, we're going to get the draw count, goals count, etc. I'm just going to do the same thing just to make it easier as well for myself. Just going to copy and paste. So now we've got the matches won, matches lost. Now we're going to get the matches draw. And again, this time it won't be get defeat count, it will be get draw count. Again, just going to copy and paste it here. We're going to get the scored goals this time. and that was get scored goals count. We're going to do get scored goals count. Okay, so we've got scored goals, and we're going to get received goals. Again, I'm going to move this. And now instead of get defeat count, we're going to get the get received goals count. Let me just double check that. So yeah, we've got received goals count. And again, if we go back here, you can see the name of it. So it's going to be get received goals count. Again, there's two more. Now we're going to get their points. So we've got their defeat count, now we're going to get their points. So get points. And lastly, we're going to get their matches played. And again over here, I'm going to do get matches played. Just like that. Okay, I'm just going to save this. And now underneath here, we're just going to return. So I'm going to do a return statement just like that. Okay. Now what we're going to do here, so as you can see in the delete, if it couldn't find the match, it's going to print out no such club in league. We're going to do a similar thing here. So I'm just going to copy this. I'm going to pull it after here. So if it can't find it, the matching club, it will display no such club in league. Just like that. So now, I'm just going to save this. As you can see here, we have no errors so far, which is good. These yellows will go as soon as we start to use them. So now, if I run this, so for example, let's add another one. Let's add London. Let's just put the plain London. So now display statistics, that's number 3. So if I now do 3, insert club name, we're going to insert Arsenal for example. As you can see here, so far matches 1, 0, loss 0, since there's no data for Arsenal, so everything is now 0. But when it comes to soon, we're going to start adding matches, these will change. As you can see here, we're going to do some, because it's attached, we're just going to put a space here, just so there'll be a space between the club name and the matches and their sentences, just like that. Okay, so I can now stop this. Okay, so now we know that we can now display the club statistics. Okay, so now the next thing we're going to do is we're going to display the league table. And like I said with the league table, what we did inside the custom comparator, it will display it according to the number of points, and if the points are the same, it will display it according to goal differences. So it's going to go back here. Okay, and underneath display statistics break, I'm going to have a case 4. And now I'm going to name this one display league table. Okay, I'm going to have another break. Okay, so I'm just going to go back down, and again, as we did, I'm just going to display the league table. Just going to go down here, just after this function. Just going to do private void display league table. Okay, so first of all, like I said before, in the custom comparator, what we did was we get the two teams, and if they have the same points, we go according to the goal differences. However, it will display with the highest points first and the lowest points below. So now if I go back here, we're going to call the custom comparator. Now what we're going to do is, so right now what we're going to do, we're going to sort the table using the custom comparator. So I'm just going to do collections dot sort. Okay, we're going to sort the clubs, and we're going to call the custom comparator, just like that. And now again we're going to do a for loop. So we're going to get the clubs. Okay. Okay, that was an error. Okay, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to do system.out.print, and now what I'm going to print out is the club and their points and their goal difference. So I'm going to do club. So I'm going to do just like that. I'm going to get the name. I'm going to do club.getName. And what we're going to do, we're going to display their points. So it's going to say club, for example, Chelsea, or display their points. So now we're going to get the points. There you go, get the points. And now also, don't forget, we're also going to get the goal differences. So again, we're going to do plus. Now we're going to have the goal difference. And now to get the goal difference, what we're going to do is, if we go back to the custom comparator, how we did here, we get the scored goals count, and what we do is we're going to minus it by the received goals count. So what we're going to do here is, with the goal difference, I'm going to have a plus, and what I'm going to do now, I'm going to have an open bracket. Okay, I'm going to do club. I'm going to get the scored goals count, and I'm going to minus it by the received goals count. So get received goals count. Okay, just like that. So again, just to clarify, to get the goal difference, if we go back to the football club, what we did is we're going to get the scored goals count, and we've minused it by the received goals count, and what that will get is it will get our goal difference. And then when it comes to displaying the league table, and if there's two clubs that have the same points, it will then call the custom comparator function. What this does is it will display it in order. So if, for example, the first club has more points, it will display that first. And also, if both clubs have the same, it will display it based on the person with the highest goal difference. Okay, so as you can see here, we've got our code. So you can see properly. What I'm also going to do is, just so, make sure you have a space between them, so when it comes to displaying it here, it will display nicely. So now, I'm just going to save this. What I'm going to do is I'm going to run it, and we'll see if it works. As you can see, no data will be shown because we haven't actually added matches yet. So it will just be 0. Okay, so I'm just going to do 1, for example. I'm just going to add club, let's do Chelsea. And we'll have Stamford Bridge. Okay, so to display the statistics, and we have to display the Premier League table, which is 4. If I do 4, you see here we have Chelsea, and they have 0 points, and they have 0 goal difference. So now the 5th one is the played match. So once we start adding played matches, we'll see this all fully working and in function. Just gonna close this now. Okay, so again, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go up, and now inside our case, what we're gonna do is now we're gonna add a case number 5. So underneath case 4 break, we're gonna have a case 5. I'm gonna type in the function add played match. Just like that, I'm gonna have a break. Now I'm going to create a function called add played match, and it will allow the user to add their 2 played matches. And we're also going to get the date, etc. So I'm just going to save this. So it's going to go down. Yeah. Okay, so I'm just going to neaten these brackets up. Okay. So we're going to have again a private void. I'm going to same name, add played match. Okay. So the first thing we're going to do is system.outprint, and what the user will do, it will enter the date for the match. So I'm going to do enter date, and what I'm also going to do is I'm going to write the format the user should enter the date. This is so we won't get the user won't enter it in any other way, because then it won't work. So just like that. Okay, the user will enter the date, and then whatever the user entered, it will go inside the string line. Okay, so we do scanner. There you go. Okay, now I'm going to call the date. Okay, now I'm going to do try. Basically, we need the date to be in the correct format. Whoops. So, okay, so I'm going to do date. We're going to now convert the date to the format. So we're going to do simple date format. And the correct format is mmdd YYY, and then we do dot pass, and then line, which is what the user entered. So basically it has to be in the correct function, or else it won't work. Okay, so date format. Okay, so now the next step is, just after here, we're going to just catch any error. So if the date, for example, is not in the correct format, so we're going to do pass exception. So I'm going to have it as ex. Just going to do, oops, I've got to be a capital P. The system.out.print. So if the date the user entered is not in the correct format, it will say you have to enter date in format mmdd YY. So month, day, and year. So not day, month, and year. And after that, it's going to do a return. Okay. So now after here, what we're going to do, so if the user did enter it in the correct format, it will then display enter home team. So whatever the user enters will go inside the string line. Look at that. So now we're going to have football club. Don't forget football club is the class. I'm just going to have home, and it's going to be null. Okay, so now so far we've created an object called home, and for now it's going to be null. So now we're going to create a for loop. Okay, so for football club league, So now we're going to have an if statement. And we're going to do if club dot get name dot equals line. So if the club that the user entered, if it's inside the league table, we're going to make that the home club. Do that. Okay. Oops, okay. So now the home will be the club. So the object that we created. Just like that. Okay, so if the home team that the user entered, so if it's inside the league, what we're going to do now is going to make it the home club. So the user can only enter the home team that is inside the league table. Else, else we're going to do if home equals null. So if it's empty, we're going to display a message that says that the club is not in the league. So it must be in the league for you to add it as a played match. So it's going to say no such club in league. And I'm going to do a return. Just like that. So again, we've looped around the for loop, and if the club equals, so if the club that the home club the user entered, if it's inside the league table, we're going to make that the home. However, if it's not inside the league table and the home object is empty, it's going to display no such club in the league. Okay, so if there is a home team, the user will now be displayed with a system.out.print to display the away team. Again, we're going to do system.out.print. We're going to do enter away team. And again, I'm going to put it inside a string called line. And now I'm going to have this one as away. So football club. Away. So now we're going to make it null, just like we did here with home. And now same that we did here, just going to copy this for loop, so I have to write it again. So we're going to do for football club in the league. If the club that the user entered, if it's inside the league table, we're going to now have whatever the user entered, we're going to have it as away. So now we've got our home team and we've got our away team. And then again, similar, I'm just going to copy this. Just going to put it down here. And if away, so if it's null, so if the club of the user entered is not in the league table, it's going to display no such club in the league. Okay. So now we're just going to go down over here. Okay, so now what we're going to do is the user will now enter the goals. So then we'll have a system.out.print. It's going to say enter home team goals. And again, I'm going to put it inside a string called line. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to create an integer called home goals. I'm going to have it as -1. So what we're going to do now, so if we're going to have it as -1, so what we're going to do is we're going to have a try and a catch. And if what the user entered, if it's not an integer, the value home goals, so the home goals integer here, it will stay as -1. So this was going to do try. We're going to do home goals equals integer. Okay, so we're going to pass the integer. So don't forget, so what this is a string, so now we're going to convert it into an integer. Okay, now what we're going to do is we're going to catch any errors. Just like that. Okay. Okay, so now after this, so now what we've done is if what the user entered, if it's not an integer, the value home goals will stay as -1. And now I'm going to have an if statement here. So if what the user entered, if it is -1, we're now going to print out a system.out.print. And it's going to say you have to enter a number of goals. I'm just going to have a return. Just like that. Okay, so if everything goes well and if what the user entered is an integer, we're now going to let the user enter the away team goals. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to copy from here up to here for the away team, just so you don't have to write it again. So this time it will be enter away team goals. And this I'm going to name it away goals. And then we're going to do, again, we're going to have this as away goals. So again, if these doesn't enter an integer, it will be -1. I'm just going to do here, if away goals equals -1, and again, it will tell us that they have to enter a number of goals, and again, we will return it. So that works very similar. So now we've entered the home goals, and now we've entered the away goals. Okay, so now the next thing we're going to do is now we're going to update the teams, and now we're going to create the matches. So what we're going to do now, underneath here, we're going to do match. Again, match is, remember the class that we created here for match? So we have team A and team B, their scores, and the date. So we're going to do match equals new match. So we're going to do now match, we're going to set the date, which is date. So as you can see here, if we go up quickly, the date is here, so we've got the date. We're now going to set team A as home, and we're going to set team B as away. So again, if I just go back to match, we have team A and team B, and now we're going to set their score. Now we're going to do match dot set team A score. We're going to set their away scores. And now we're going to do match dot set team B score. And we're going to set their home goals. And now we're going to add them. So we're going to do matches dot add, and we're going to add the match. And don't forget matches, if you go up here, we created an array list of matches which comes from the class match that we created. Okay, so now after that, what we're going to do is we're going to set the scored goals count. We're going to do home, we're going to do set scored goals count. So that's going to do home. We're going to get the scored goals count, and we're going to add it with the home goals. Okay. So now what we've done here is we've got whatever score count the user already has, and we're going to plus it with what they have now. And same thing with the away. We're just going to copy this. What we're doing is adding on their goals to what we already have. So if, for example, they have 3 and they scored another 3, it will add on. So away dot set goals count, and now we're going to have this one as away. We're going to get the scores count, and now we're going to plus it with the away goals, just like that. And now what we're going to do is we're going to do the same thing now with the get received goals count. So again, I'm just going to do home dot set goals and score goals count. What I'm going to do is I'm going to get their whatever received goals count they have now, and I'm going to plus it with the away goals. So the received goals count is what the other opponent scored against them. So now I'm going to add that on. So what they have now, we're going to add it on with the away goals. Okay. And again, similar here. Going to get their away, and we're going to plus it with whatever the home got. Just like that. So now just underneath here, what I'm going to do, I want to create an if statement, and I'm going to say if the home goals, so if the home team got more goals than the away team, we're going to do home set points, and I'm going to do home. We're going to get the points, and we're going to add 3 points to them. This is how the Premier League works. When a team wins, they'll get 3 points. Just like that. Also, what I'm going to do, we're going to set their win count. And we're going to have that as 1 to show that they've won a match. Okay, just like that. And also we're going to have the defeat count. So what we're going to do is not for home, what we're going to do is away, the away team. We're going to have a defeat count for them, which will be 1 as well. So we're going to do away, get the defeat count. And the away team will have a defeat count of 1, that they've lost 1 game. So the home team will have a win count of 1, and the away team will have a defeat count of 1. And this is if the home team scores more goals than the away team. Else, again, I'm just going to copy this just to make it more easier. What I'm going to do else. So we're going to do now. We're going to do. Oops. Okay. Else if. I'm just going to copy this. Just get rid of this. Okay. So else if the home goals is less than the away goals, so if the away team scored more, what we're going to do is now the away team are going to have 3 points. So it will be away. We're going to get the points and we're going to add 3 to them. What we're also going to do is home, we're going to set the defeat count. So now home will have a defeat count of 1, and the away team will have the win count of 1. So as you can see here, if the home team wins, we give them 3, they get 1 win count and they get 1 defeat count, and the away team gets 1 defeat count. And if the away team wins, the away team gets 3 points, they get 1 win count, and the home team gets 1 defeat count. And then we're going to do an else. Else meaning if it's a draw, what we're going to do is so in the English Premier League, if it's a draw, they both get 1 point each. So the home team will get a point. Just going to copy this. The away team gets a point. And what we're also going to do is we're going to add it to the draw count. So we're going to get the draw count. We're going to add 1 to the draw count on both of them, so the home and the away team. Okay, just like that. So that is what we've done to add played match. This is what we have. So now let's run it and see what happens. Just going to pull this up. Okay, just going to run it. Okay, so I want to add Chelsea. I'm going to have it in Stamford Bridge. I'm going to add another team. I'm going to add team Arsenal. I'm going to have it in Holloway. Okay, so now I have 2 teams added. So now if I do display the Premier League table and I do 4, you can see here Chelsea has 0 points and 0 goal difference, and Arsenal has 0 and 0 goal difference. Okay, so now let's add the played match. Let's press 5. Okay, so let's just say they played on the month of, let's do 06. They played on day 08, and they played in 2015. So let's do the home team was Chelsea, and the away team was Arsenal. So let's just say Chelsea got more. So Chelsea got 3 and Arsenal got 2, for example. There we have it. So now if I do display the Premier League table and I do 4, you can see here now Chelsea has 3 points and a goal difference of 2, and Arsenal has 0 points and a goal difference of 3. So now what we're going to do is, if I also do display statistics for team, press 3, if I do 3, and if I do Arsenal, for example, it will show me that Arsenal scored. Okay, so there's a mix-up here. So I'll close this. Okay, so what the mix-up was, over here I have home and away, and I have set scored goals count. Now that was wrong. What we should have done here is not set scored goals count, but what we need to do is get the received goals count. So what I do here, so I'm going to do get received goals count. Okay, just want to copy this and paste this. So in the home, we've set the scores count and we've set the away goals. Now we're also here in the received goals count. What we're also going to do is we're going to get the received goals count. We're going to plus this by the away goals, and with the away team, what we're going to do is we're going to plus it with the home goals. So for example, if for example Chelsea got 3, for example, and Arsenal had 2, what we're going to do is with Chelsea's received goals, we're going to plus it with the away goals, which is 2. So that was the error, which is why we were receiving a slightly mixed up result. So now if I just save this and I run it, okay, now if we try it now, so again, let me just do Arsenal, and we're going to do Holloway, I'm going to do Chelsea, I'm going to do Stamford Bridge. Okay, let's just play the Premier League table. 0 points. So now if I add a played match now, so now if I do again month of 06, let's do the day, let's do 06 as well, and again we'll have it in 2015. So we'll have the away team, a home team as Chelsea, and the away team as Arsenal. A home team will have it as 3 as well, and the away team we're gonna have it as 2. So now if we display the Premier League table, we can see here we get here a goal difference of 1, and over here we get a goal difference of -1. So that is how it should be displayed. And also now if we display the statistics, for example 3, if you see Arsenal, you can see here they have a scored goals of 2, and the opponent team received 3 points, 3 goals. So Chelsea had 3 goals and they have 0 points. Okay, you can also see here that they have lost 1. So matches lost, it's 1. Okay, so I've just added Arsenal and Chelsea again, and as you can see here, the matches played, it's not updating. I'm just going to do that now. So I'm just going to go back here. So what I'm going to do is every time a match is played, where it says matches played, it will update here. So I'm just going to go down, I'm going to do home, we're going to do set matches played. What we're going to do first of all is we're going to do the home goals. We're going to do home. We're going to do get matches played. And we're going to add 1. Just like that. Okay, so we're going to do home, set matches played, home, okay. Okay, there you go. I'm just going to copy and paste it. I'm going to have it also as away. So away, set matches played. With the away team, we're also going to add 1. So basically, every time the user plays a game, it will have 1 in it. So we'll just save. So I'll close this. Okay, so now if we run this. Okay, so now again, let's just do Arsenal and Chelsea. Same teams. Okay, and we'll also add Chelsea, and let's do, so they're playing Stamford Bridge. Oops. There you go. So now if I add a played match, I'll do 5. I'm just going to enter any date, again in this format. Okay, I'm going to have Arsenal, I'm going to have Chelsea. Okay, I'm going to have it, let's just do 4 for example, let's just do 2 over here. So now if I display statistics, for example, I'll have 3, and if I have Arsenal, you can see here, now this updates. So they've played 1 match so far, and it's going to add 1. If you want to see the same thing for Chelsea, again, I can do 3. If I had Chelsea also, you can see here they've lost 1. They've scored 2 goals, they received 4 goals, and they've played 1 match. And again, we can see the league table. So as you can see here now, Arsenal's got 3 points with a goal difference of 2. Chelsea has 0 points with a goal difference of -2. Again, we can also delete a team. So for example, if I want to delete Arsenal, and now if I say I want to display the Premier League table, we can see here only Chelsea now shows. Okay, so now the last bit we're going to do is we're going to display the calendar. So what this calendar will allow us to do is the user can type in a date and they can see the matches played for that date. That's the last thing we're going to do. So I'm just going to go up. Okay, and after this break statement, we're going to have case 6. I'm going to name this one display calendar. Okay, I'm going to add the break. So now again, similar, this will be the last function that we'll do. And now I'm just going to go down. We're going to display the calendar. Okay, so just after this one. So what I'm going to do, again, private void. Okay, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to do system.out.print. So the first thing the user will do, they will enter the year. I'm going to do this slightly more differently, and also so we can get the calendar displayed. So I'm going to do enter year. So wherever the user enters, I'm going to put it inside a string called line. Just like that. Okay, so now similar as we did before, I'm going to create an integer. I'm going to name it y. I'm going to have it as -7777, for example. So what we're going to do is if what the user entered, if it's not an integer, the value year will stay as -77777. So we're going to do try. We're going to do y equals integer dot pass in line. Just going to catch any errors. So just like that. Now what we're going to do is we're going to create an if statement here. And we're going to do if y, if it does equals -777, which it shouldn't, we're going to do system.out.print. Once that, you have to enter a year. Just like that, I'm going to have return statement. What this will do, just go back to displaying the menu. Okay, I'm going to add another bracket here so we don't get this error. Okay. So now, again, we're going to do the same thing now with the month. With the month, I'm just going to copy up to here. Just going to copy this, I'm going to paste this. Okay, so I'm going to do system out print. Instead of enter year, now it will be enter month. Okay, we're going to get rid of this because we already declared it as a string before, so we don't need to declare it twice. So now instead of int y, I'm going to have it as int m, and I'm going to have the value here as 0. So again, similar, if it is not an integer, the value month will stay 0. We're going to do m here. It's going to convert the line to an integer, going to catch any errors, and if m, if it does actually equals 0, which again it shouldn't, we're going to system out print. You have to enter a month. Okay, I'm just going to return that as well. Okay, so now what we're going to do is just after this return statement, I'm going to create a string of array called months, just like that. Okay, so now the following, what I'm going to do now, okay, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to display it, the months in a calendar type of way. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to go down here, I'm going to create an empty string here, just like that. I'm going to leave this one empty. The reason for this is because over here it will be January. So what I'm going to do now, I'm just going to do a comment here. I'm just going to open, okay, that's going to be January. Okay, February. March, underneath, so I'll go underneath like so. I'm going to do April. May. I'm going to have July. August. I have September. Okay, so November, and lastly we're going to have December. I'm just going to close this. So yeah, so we've left this one empty so that month 1 will equal January. So again, okay, I'm just going to close this. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to create another array. I'm going to name it days. So I'm going to do the number of days in month. So again, I'm just going to do equals. So I'm going to do 0. I'm going to have 31, 28, 31, 30. Let's do 31. So we have 0, 31, 28, 31, 30, 31, 30, 31, 31, 30, 31, 30, and 31. So again, so we're going to have, so each one will have their own number of days in the month. So again, just want to double check. So we have 31, 28, 31, 30, 31, 30, 31, 31, 30, 31, 30, 31. I can just check that with my calendar and that's fine. Okay. So now the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to check for any leap years. I'm going to do if n equals 2. And I'm going to do and. Okay, so, and if it is a leap year, just like that. I'm going to do days. It's going to have the month. I'm going to have it as 29. So if it is a leap year, it will be 29. Okay, so now we've created. So here we're going to check for leap years, and this here, it will be a method which we'll create later on. So don't worry about this error. So now what we're going to do is now we're going to print out the calendar. So we're going to do system.out.print. I'm going to create some spaces. Then I'm going to display the month, so that will be displayed. Okay, it's up to you how you want to display the calendar. So I have some empty space, and I'm going to display the year. So here we're displaying the month, and then we're displaying the year. Okay, and then I'm going to do another system.out.print. Then we're going to have the days. We're going to have S, M, we're going to have Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. Just like that. Okay, and now we're going to create another integer for the day. So we're going to name it D. I'm going to do as day, I'm going to get the month, 1, and the year. Just like that. And I'm just going to create a string. Okay, so I'm just going to create a string. I want to name it space, just so we can use this to create some nice spaces. Okay, just like that. And now what we're going to do now is we're going to print the calendar. So we're going to create a for. We're going to do int I equals 0. If I is less than the day, we're going to do I plus plus. And then we're going to system the out.print. It's going to print a gap. Okay, so I'm going to create another for loop. So for int I, for int I equals 1. If I is less than equal to days, I'm also going to have the M for the month. So we're going to do I plus plus. Just like that. So I'm going to do if I is less than 10, I'm going to do system out.print. We're going to print out I plus the spacing. Just like that. Okay, so it's this. Okay, go with that bracket. Okay, and then we're going to have an else. So we're going to do else, and again similar. We're going to do system out.print. And we're going to do I plus, and then we're going to have the spacing. Just like that. Okay. I'm going to create an if statement. I'm going to do if I plus D, again, which is the day. And this looks really confusing and hard. I'm trying my best to explain what I'm doing. So if that equals 0, and then we're going to do an OR. So do OR, just these two lines. I'm going to have all this code put down in the description below inside my GitHub, so you can use the code. I'm going to do system.out.print. Okay, so I think there's an issue. bracket somewhere. So I have 3 brackets here. Okay, I have that. Okay, so I need one over here. Okay, just like that. So now, the user now will be required to enter the day. I want to do system out.print, and then I'm going to have enter day. So again, we're going to get the day that the user entered, and we're going to put it inside a string called line. Okay, just like that. And then we're going to do, again, have it as 0. So if it's not an integer, the value will stay at 0. So it's going to do try. I'm going to have d equals integer dot pass int line. Going to do catch exception e. So now we will catch any errors. Okay, so now we're going to do if the user did not enter an integer value, it's going to tell the user to enter a day. So if what the user entered is not an integer, or if what the user entered the day is not in the month, I'm going to have an or. Okay, it's less than the day. We're going to do system right. You have to enter day and month. I'm just going to return this just like that. Okay, so now the last bit is just going to create the calendar. So I'm going to do calendar dot get instance. We're going to do calendar dot set the year. We're going to do the month and the day. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to loop round. So we're going to loop round this object and the matches that we have inside our, so what we did here when we were adding matches, as you can see here, we also added the date. So we're going to loop around the matches within that date. I'm going to do calendar, I'm going to name it cal2 equals calendar dot get instance. Okay, let's put calendar one. Okay, and I want to do cal2 dot set time. And I'm gonna basically, and now what I'm gonna do is I'm comparing if the dates are equal. So I'm gonna do if cal, so calendar. So I'm gonna get the year. Okay, so if that equals the calendar 2, so we're going to see if there's a match between them. We're going to have an or. We're going to do calendar, day of year. So we have, here we go, day of year. So you can see here we have a description from the Java utility calendar. So if there's a match between that, so cow2 dot get calendar dot day of year. Now after I'm going to have an open bracket here. So I go back and I'm going to do system dot out dot print. So if there is a match, we're going to display the match on that day. So I'm going to do m dot get team A. So team A, don't forget it was from our matches class. I'm going to get the name of it. I'm going to do plus. It's an empty space. We're going to do plus m get team A score. It's going to now display team B as well. M team B score. Going to get D plus. We're going to get also team B. So we're going to get team B. Okay. I'm going to get the name. Just like that. Okay, so I'm going to go back and clarify what we've done. Don't worry, these errors will go. Well, so far we've got the year, we've got the months, we've got the days. We're going to check off if there's any leap years. And also what we've done here is we've also trying to match the months with the days and the year, so it works as a proper calendar, and also we're using the Java library calendar utility. Okay, so now I'm just going to go back down here, and now I'm going to create a method for day and a method for is leap year, because as you can see here, we need one for day and we need one for is leap year. Okay, so what I'm going to do is just after these two brackets, just over here. Okay, I'm going to do public int day. We're going to have int m for the month, int d for the day, and int y. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to do int y. Okay, so now here I'm just trying to get the days and just to do some maths just to get the days and the months and the years just to match. Again, like I said, this code will be inside my GitHub and I'll put that in the description box below. Okay, so it's going to divide that by 12, so it says 12 months. So I'm going to do int x equals y. Add that 4. Put that by 100. Put that by 400. That should be y. I'll create an m. Don't forget there's a difference between the small and the capital M, it's not the same. Plus 12. So 14, we're going to minus that by the month. Divide that again by 12. Going to do minus 2. Okay. And the day. That's that by x. 31. Okay, start sign. Again, we divide that by 12. 7. I'm just going to do return D. Okay, so the error, I can see here that it should be a minus and not an equals. Okay, yeah, that's how it is. Okay, so I've just done some simple math just so the days and the months and year come together and they match. Okay, and the last thing what I'm going to do now is I'm going to create a boolean, and this will return true if the given year is a leap year. So we're going to do public boolean. I'm going to name it again is leap year, same to what we had it as above, just like that. I'm going to have an integer here as int year, so just like that. And I'm going to create some if statements. So I'm going to do if year equals. So this will check if the given day is a leap year or not, and it will return true. Okay, so and if the year also, okay, so does not equal 0, we're going to return true. Okay, just like that. And now over here, we're going to do if year, okay, I'm going to have it 400. If this also equals 0, we're also going to return true. And like I said, the source code will be in the description below. Else, we're going to return false. Just like that. So, I'm going to save everything. As you can see, we've got quite a bit of code. Most of this code, especially starting from here, it's all about getting the days, month and year and using the Java kind of utility just to put it all together. And also we've just gone the extra mile to check if there's also a leap year, just so we can get the right date and the month and the year and just it matches. So I'm just going to save this, and now I'm just going to run it and see if it works. Okay, so let's just lift this up. Okay, I'm just going to run it. Okay, so again, I'm just going to stick to my usual clubs. I'm going to have Arsenal and Holloway. I'm going to have Chelsea. I'm going to have that in Stamford Bridge. I'm also just going to add another team. I'm going to add Liverpool. And they play at Anfield, I'm guessing. Okay, so I'm just going to... So far I have 3 teams. So now I'm going to add a played match. So so the date I'm going to enter for this one, I have to make it so I remember it. I'm going to have it as 01, 01. I want to have it as 2015, so the 1st of January 2015. So it was, let's do Liverpool versus, let's just do Arsenal for example. Let's do Liverpool got 4 and Arsenal got 2. So now if I want to display the calendar and find a match, so if I do 6, enter year, so it was 2015. So enter month, we did 01. You can see here already we've got the calendar for 01. And as you can see here, it's the way that when it comes to displaying the calendar, you have to display it slightly more neater, just so that you can get all the dates also properly lined up. So we did 0101, and also the day we did 01. You can see here that we've got Liverpool 2 and Arsenal scored 4. So we can now display the matches for each day. And also what we can do is, what happens if, for example, we add a date that's not in the calendar. So let's just try to see what happens. So now if I do maybe 2014, for example, and I'll do month 04. So again, the calendar is slightly mixed up due to the design. I'm just going to do, for example, I don't know, 16. You can see that nothing's been displayed. Why? Because there's no match on the 16th. So I close this now. So now what we've done is we can display a nice calendar for the user to see, and also over here you can just edit the layout. So you can see here we have Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, and also just with the spacings and everything. So I think I've probably added maybe too much spacing. So let's just, maybe we can do that, see what will happen. So over here I have 1, 2, 3 spacing. So okay, so that is fine. Over here, whoops, I have 1, 2, I also have 3 spacings here. I'm gonna have that as 2, and over here I have 1, so that is fine. Okay, so let's see, maybe will that make a difference? Okay, so display the calendar, which is 6. Then let's have 2015, and again 01. There you go, we can see our calendar has been displayed a little bit better. It is slightly in order. I mean, we could move it again slightly to the right hand side, and also again, so I think I'll leave it as that for now. I think it's okay. And also, so if I add, let's do 03 for example, you can see that nothing's been displayed. So just close that now. Okay, so as you can see in this tutorial, we've learned how to add data, so delete, display statistics, a league table, we've displayed matches, also to display a calendar as well, and all this we've used interfaces. You can see we've also used an abstract class, sports club, we've used a class called football club which extends sports club. We've also got a match class, again, which gets the 2 teams and their dates. And we've also got the custom comparator to display the Premier League table in order of their points. And if the points are the same, we've also can display them according to their goal differences. So I'm just going to go back here. And this is the code that we've done to do this. Again, I'm going to put the code inside the description box below, and you can download the source code and play about with it and use it. So I really hope you've enjoyed this tutorial. If you've liked this, please give it a thumbs up and also subscribe to further videos. And I hope to see you in my other videos. So thank you for watching.